Hi, my name is Anna Korn, and this is a short demo of my project proposal for the Archival Lab Remix called Art Collecting in Your Own Backyard. And the overall goal of this project is to use existing image recognition technology to connect photos of plant species that are uploaded to iNaturalist, which is a citizen science-based social media platform where users can go outside, go into the woods, snap photos of plants that they see in the wild, and upload those photos to their profile as observations. And iNaturalist has uses image recognition technology to help identify those species for users, along with crowdsourced identifications from other users. So it's a interactive, collaborative way for people to collect and organize photos and observations that they gather on their own wherever they may be outside. And the goal is to take this platform, iNaturalist, and use image recognition technology to match photos that users take of plants out in the wild and match those photos with historic botanical illustrations that are available to the public through the New York Public Library. And so if you go outside and you take a picture of a really neat tree and you upload it to your My Observations profile page on iNaturalist, you can then be directed to the New York Public Library's digital collections where they may have a matching botanical illustration of that species you just recorded. And so the overall idea is to take those botanical illustrations and connect them back into iNaturalist to build your art collection page called My Art Collections, which can be part of your profile in iNaturalist and go alongside your species observations that you make out in the real world. So and I think it would be an interesting way to kind of combine the citizen science aspect of iNaturalist and the species identification aspect and integrate it with these really beautiful art prints that are available through the New York Public Library, and to have your own art collection featured on your iNaturalist profile. So my references for this, just starting off, here's an image of my own observations page. This is taken from the Android mobile app for iNaturalist. And then over here, here's an example of the desktop version of iNaturalist and your observations. Um, so as you can see, these are all plants that I've snapped photos of over the years, just walking around, the woods or yeah, hiking on trails. And so these are all species that have been identified using iNaturalist's image recognition technology, but also verified by other users of the platform. So it's a very collaborative, interactive way for nature enthusiasts to collaborate and identify some plant species. And then going back, so the idea is to match a species you might see out in the wild with one of these really beautiful, intricately drawn or painted botanical illustrations through the New York Public Library's digital collections, which are available to the public. They're just very intricate, very pretty, and also have a lot of historical value as well. Some of them are, a couple hundred years old and give some insight to the history of botany and the history of recording plant species. Right? So moving along, let's go back. And then just the scope of this project is really just going to be limited to botanical illustrations under the genre of botanical illustration through New York Public Library. So getting started, the first step would just be to go out and snap a photo of a plant that you see in your environment and upload it to iNaturalist. So here you can see on the Android mobile platform, there's a little plus sign, usually down at the bottom of your screen, and that's how you add an observation. And in this case, I snapped this photo and uploaded it using Choose Image to my observations profile. And once you do that, it brings you to this page where you can write notes on your observation, record location details, add it to a project. But what we're going to focus on in this project is really this tool right here. What did you see? And so moving on to step 2. So when you click on that What Did You See tool in your Edit Observations window, it brings you to this type of screen, which is where iNaturalist uses image recognition technology, and specifically something called computer vision modeling, to take the photo that you snapped of a plant outside and match that photo to species. So basically using image recognition to identify the species of the photo that you took. And so as you can see, I snapped this photo and they're saying we're pretty sure it's in this genus, and that here your top suggestion is bloodroot, which is a species of plant. And in fact, if you click on one that you think it might be, iNaturalist provides comparison photos of confirmed identifications of that species so that you can look at your plant and the suggested plant and say, is this a match? Is this not a match? And in this case, it was a match for bloodroot. So this photo that I snapped using iNaturalist's image recognition technology matched that photo to the species of bloodroot. And basically how that works is that iNaturalist uses computer modeling and will add thousands of photos into a model to train, it's called machine learning, to train the model to be able to pick out details of an image and then match those details to the matching image of the species. And so this reference here gives a really great overview on computer vision modeling and how it works. And this is a tool that iNaturalist has been using since 2017, and they update the model to make identifications more accurate and also to increase the number of identifications that the tool can do. So here's actually the latest computer vision model. And so it's always growing and expanding, and they're always training that model to be able to identify images and species as closely as possible. So that's kind of the bigger technology idea that this project is based on. And so moving along now, you've snapped the photo, you've uploaded it to iNaturalist, and you've confirmed that the species is indeed bloodroot. So the next part of this project would be moving into the New York Public Library interface and taking that species that you've confirmed and added to my observations on iNaturalist and finding out, hey, wow, in the New York Public Library's digital collections, looks like there's a matching botanical illustration for the species that you just observed. And so my idea would be that, once you've confirmed your excuse me, observation, you're redirected to New York Public Library to your matching botanical illustration that matches the species that you just observed. So here's my bloodroot photo that I just cataloged, and now I'm being redirected to New York Public Library. and wow, look, there's this really beautiful illustration of bloodroot that I'd like to add to the new profile section on iNaturalist called My Art Collections. And so how it would go is that you'd be redirected and you'd get a message, you've collected new art. So you've discovered, a new piece of art that you can add to your collection based on your observation. And so the user could say, hey, yes, I want to add to my art collections. Or maybe they're not interested in the art collecting aspect. And they just say don't add, which is also totally fine. But again, these illustrations are all through New York Public Library and only under the genre of botanical illustrations, just to give it a narrower scope for a first go around. This could probably be expanded, but just for right now, this is focusing on this genre. And then here is actually, I'll show the example. This is the botanical print for bloodroot, and it gives a lot of great information on it, the date, the artist, and the collection as well that it's a part of. And so moving on, let's say you run into a situation. So when I uploaded my photo of bloodroot and was redirected to New York Public Library to add it to my collection, there was only one matching print. So it was easy to decide, there was only one to choose from. So if I wanted to add a botanical art print of bloodroot to my collection, it would have to be that one. But let's say that you're in a situation where there are multiple matching art prints to your species that you've uploaded. My idea would be that you would still trigger the "you've collected new art" message, but the catch would be you can only add one to your collection. So it's, one observation, one piece of art. If you say you've snapped this photo like I did previously of a tulip tree and you've uploaded it to your observations and you see that, in New York Public Library there's actually 2 available prints. You have to pick one, and then if you want the other one, go out and find another specimen of tulip, and then you can have 2. So just kind of a way to encourage people to go out and snap as many photos as possible of even the same type of species. And again, if they don't want to add, there would be another, don't add button on the interface between iNaturalist and New York Public Library. And then, once you've selected your botanical illustration, it pulls you back into iNaturalist and it adds that print to My Art Collections, which is the new section on your profile where you can collect all of your prints that you have matched to species that you found out in the wild, and it kind of matches the aesthetic and the look of the My Observations page on iNaturalist. And here's an example of what it would look like. So say I've gone out and I've snapped pictures of 6 species and they've matched to 6 observations. I made 6 observations and it has matched to 6 botanical prints. Here's what an example page of my prints would look like. And say I just went out and I snapped that picture of tulip. So I would have a little message saying, oh, new art, because I just collected a new piece of art. And one of the catches with this is that there's only about 4,200 botanical illustrations in New York Public Library's digital collections under that genre. So not every plant species is going to have a matching botanical illustration. So that could be something that's better resolved as the project expands and maybe as other institutions are incorporated